Good evening. Billions in spending, a growing deficit, and plans to cut Canada's public service. Those are among the highlights of the Carney government's first budget.
The details unveiled late this afternoon, and tonight some are wondering why more concrete measures to help with the affordability crisis seem to be missing. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has more.
Nearly 7 months after getting elected, the Carney government has dropped its first budget, a 406-page book it promises will build Canada strong. Over the next 5 years, Ottawa intends to spend $141 billion in new measures that they project will bring in $51.2 billion in savings. Together, those measures will take Canada's deficit to $78.3 billion this year, dropping to $56.6 billion by 2029-2030.
It's well within the range that people had expected, and people also understand that 75% of what we recorded this year, you would have seen that at the very beginning, was to, defend our sovereignty.
One of the biggest expenditures, defense, with $81.8 billion in spending over 5 years. There's $20.4 billion for the military's recruitment and retention problems, $10.9 billion for upgrades, and $17.9 billion to expand new military capabilities, including procuring new armored vehicles.
It's a real big injection of money, but really interestingly, they don't provide any annual investment or expenditure total. There's no articulation of where year by year that would take us as a share of GDP.
There's also $51 billion over 10 years for a new Build Community Strong Fund to help fund new infrastructure projects, $1.7 billion for an international talent attraction strategy, and $13 billion over 5 years starting in 2025-2026 for Build Canada Homes. That includes $2.8 billion for Indigenous housing. One way Ottawa is bringing down the deficit through changes to the public service. Ottawa wants to shed 28,000 public sector jobs within the next 3 years through cuts, attrition, and a move to incentivize voluntary leave and early retirement. How much that alone will save and where the cuts are coming from is unclear. Ottawa is also hoping to save $60 billion over 5 years through modernization and government efficiencies.
Canada's new government is spending less on government operations. Canadians understand that. You need to put the house in order.
But aside from a promise to review bank fees and to automatically file taxes for lower-income Canadians, experts say there's little that will help with affordability.
I think if you're the average Canadian, you're looking at this budget, you're going to say, well, it doesn't change my life very much. I'm concerned about affordability, I'm concerned about housing costs, and lots of concerns. It doesn't really address any of those things specifically.
Instead, many economists say the budget's aim is to create a better environment for business through measures like a so-called productivity super deduction. The budget also sets the stage for the elimination of the oil and gas emissions cap, a move the industry and the provincial government in Alberta have been calling for as a way to encourage more investment in the sector.
This is a budget that focuses on capital investment because of the context that we are in right now. The economy is quite weak and is under attack because of the tariff issues, and we have a significant uncertainty in the Canadian economy, so businesses are not investing.
For the first time, the budget has been separated into capital investment and operational spending. By 2028-2029, this document anticipates that the operational budget will have a surplus of $1.7 billion. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Now the question becomes, will this budget be enough to convince opposition members to support it, or will it and the government fall?
Leaders from the other parties offer their first reactions following the tabling of the budget.
It was a very long speech, and given that this government is adding about $10 million to our national debt every single hour, I think we can say that while talk is cheap, it's very expensive when a Liberal finance minister does it.
I hardly see how, after having met with our caucus tonight, we could vote in favor of this budget. This is a red conservative budget, which Mr. Harper might have signed. And there's nothing for Quebecers in there.
We're not telegraphing anything. I'm a Jack Layton, New Democrat. We came to Parliament to make Parliament work. We want to be propositional, and we want to give this budget the serious once-over that it deserves. And we want to consult with Canadians.
This budget is not about even sacrifices across our country. They're generational sacrifices. My grandchildren lose. This government has decided not even to mention our legally binding Paris targets and has jettisoned most climate programs, including the oil and gas cap.
The Liberals are 3 seats shy of a majority government, so they need either a handful of opposition votes or a number of abstentions to pass this budget when it comes up for vote later this month. Also tonight, breaking down lessons learned from winter's past. Toronto looks to rehaul its snow removal plan after complaints piled up last season.
We have more news in a moment, but first a look at the forecast. Here's a live shot. No snow in the city just yet, but there is a chance of flurries next week. And we do expect rain tomorrow and a cool down in the next few days. Lindsay Morrison's here with a look at how things are right now. Hey, Lindsay.
Yeah, Nathan, there's a lot going on over the next 7 days here in southern Ontario, but focusing on right now, it's quite nice outside. We had beautiful sunshine earlier today, above seasonal temperatures, and it's still mild. It's 11 degrees right now at Pearson Airport. Still a little breezy out there today, not as windy as it was yesterday, and not as windy as it will be tomorrow. So that's a little tease as to what's coming. Overnight tonight, we remain on the warm side, 7 degrees for the low. We will see an increase in cloud cover, and then tomorrow we've got another low that's going to swing through, and this one is going to bring us a little bit of rain, but it's the blustery winds that will be another story. We're going to take you through the forecast coming up. For now, Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. We're not talking about winter storms just yet, but that weather isn't far off.
Today, city officials were talking about preparations for the upcoming season and how to avoid a repeat of mistakes made last year. CTV's Beth McDonnell joins us live with more. Beth.
Michelle, there was a lot of snow in the city in February. It was especially difficult for anyone pushing a stroller, people with mobility issues, or seniors trying to get around. Now the city has a new plan to improve snow clearing. From impassable sidewalks and snow-covered transit stops to equipment breakdowns and thousands of calls to 311 for help ignored. The city's snow clearing service this past winter left a lot to be desired.
Torontonians were mortified that based on the amount of taxes we pay, we couldn't even have a major snow event adequately dealt with.
In February, there were 2 big storms and more than 90 centimeters of snow blanketed the city. But as the days passed, snow lingered and the city couldn't handle the cleanup.
Why did it happen? Who's responsible? Who's accountable?
We believe will provide more timely information.
Now the city's executive committee has done a deep dive on what went wrong. Members looked at a council-ordered review and came up with a new plan. It involves improving contracts with snow clearing companies. Right now, plowing and removing snow doesn't happen at the same time. Improving 311, better communication with residents, and creating a central command team to deploy extra resources when there's a big snowfall.
This plan will give us immediate improvements and set us up for long-term success. It's about keeping our city running, keeping people safe, rebuilding trust.
We will have more people out doing the things like taking care of corners, taking care of transit stops, making sure that our sidewalks are not plowed first and then the road snow gets dumped onto the sidewalk, where the sidewalk crew is saying, we did the work, and then all of a sudden somebody looks at the sidewalk and says, I can't walk down the sidewalk. Well, that was because the road crew had come down. Those things will all be changed.
The city says it's also prioritizing equipment repairs and spent $6.5 million on new front-end loaders, sidewalk plows, snow blowers, and snow melters.
Our goal is, on a regular snow event, is to have the streets cleaned up probably within 24 to 30 hours. A major event, it's going to take a little longer, but we don't expect it to be anything like a week or anything like that going forward. Absolutely not.
The city now more confident and ready, it says, to tackle the snow, so everyone keeps moving. City Manager Paul Johnson says there were parts of the snow clearing that worked well, but ultimately he is accountable for the public service and they relied too much on transportation services. He says this year staff will be working better together. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Toronto police are investigating after shots rang out in East York this afternoon. A gas station in the area of O'Connor Drive and Coxwell Boulevard was taped off. That's where officers were called for reports of shots fired just after 2 p.m. They say evidence of gunfire was located, but no injuries have been reported. Police say an undisclosed number of nearby schools were placed under a hold and secure as a result. This investigation is ongoing.
An investigation is underway into a suspected hate-motivated incident after a synagogue in North York was vandalized for a 10th time. It happened around 4:30 this morning. Several windows were smashed overnight at the house of worship on Bayview near York Mills. The synagogue shares surveillance footage. It shows a suspect believed to be in his late teens or early 20s using a hammer to smash 4 windows. One of the rabbis spoke about the vandalism.
There are always people in society who will take the low road. So this is that. So we should not be deterred or discouraged from taking the high road that we're trying to pursue.
Damage occurs on the synagogue. Does that change how you do things, or you just go about your day-to-day routines?
We really do our best to go about our business. Yeah, and not let that stand in our way. The idea is to disrupt. So if we had our service this morning at 7 o'clock, we had a full quorum show up, and we continue to do what we do.
The synagogue is calling for action from all levels of government to address hatred towards the Jewish community.
A 31-year-old man and 20-year-old woman have died following a crash in Brampton Saturday. It happened in the area of Queen Street and Shinkuzi Road. One victim was pronounced dead at the scene, while the other later died in hospital. Police say the driver of the other vehicle, who cannot be identified because they're under 18, has been charged with dangerous driving causing death and failure to comply with demand. Meanwhile, one person was sent to hospital after a car and a motorcycle collided in Mississauga. This happened in the area of Winston Churchill Boulevard and Argentia Road shortly before 11:30 a.m. Police say one person was seriously injured. The cause of this crash is still under investigation.
Police are searching for a man wanted for assault with a weapon and forcible confinement.
Right now, we're looking for James Irwin Allen Davey. It's alleged that between February of this year and October, that he committed several offenses against a person that was known to him. Some of those offenses include assault with a weapon, forcible confinement, theft, just to name a few. And we are actively looking for him. We have been looking for him for over a month now, and we have come up short. So right now, we're just appealing to the public that if they see him, to please call 911.
46-year-old James Irwin Allen Davies, 5'10", with a heavy build, balding with short gray hair and green eyes. He's accused of targeting a victim near Bathurst and Eglinton between February and October. Police say the suspect and victim are known to each other.
One person has been injured. Another person is under arrest following a stabbing in Scarborough. Police were called to the area of Allenford Road and Dempster Street, south of Shepherd and Birchmount, shortly after 11:30 a.m. They found a man suffering from stab wounds. He was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police arrested a 20-year-old man at the scene, but have not provided any details about possible charges. More questions tonight about Ontario's controversial Skills Development Fund, including whether or not the Job Training Fund gave millions of dollars to a company tied to a strip club.
The province's Labour Minister faced some of those questions in the legislature today. CTV's John Woodward digs into what the records show.
Adult entertainment spaces / wedding venues? Can't make this up.
A surprising exchange in Ontario's legislature today based on a new report about this club and the province's controversial $2.5 billion Skills Development Fund.
Did the Premier actually give $10 million of taxpayer money to the owners of a strip club?
The Minister of Labour.
No. To get from government money to this club is going to take a couple steps, so bear with us.
The first, records show the Labour Ministry gave about $9.8 million in grants to a numbered company with the same director as an agency called the Social Equality and Inclusion Centre. That says it supports women re-entering the workforce and provides retraining to women who may need to enter a new line of work. That agency said it partnered with the Toronto Event Centre and Grand Bazaar, run by Zlatko Starkovsky. He's operated an event venue out of the Horticulture Building on Toronto's exhibition grounds for at least a decade. In September this year, Starkovsky opened up FYE Ultra Club, which describes itself on social media as a nightclub for those where discretion is a must. City staff licensed it as an adult entertainment club, a category often used for strip clubs. In a statement, Starkovsky said there are no strippers there, and no SDF funding has been used for any purpose related to FYE Ultra Club, including the training and compensation of any burlesque dancers, aerialists, or any performers involved in the new FYE Ultra Club project. While the Social Equality and Inclusion Center says it has not been and is not involved in the new FYE Ultra Club pilot entertainment project in any training and financial capacity. All of this as Labour Minister David Piccini faces an Integrity Commissioner complaint over the Skills Development Fund, and he's facing his third week of resignation calls.
Every day we have more headlines. I don't understand. I have been asking myself why this Minister of Labour is still sitting in his seat and why the Premier hasn't fired him.
That is 100% absolutely false. Just dig into it, do your due diligence, and you'll find that. It may sound real, good theatrics for the Liberals, but it's absolutely false. We're training over 700,000 people. Our goal is to hit 1 million people and give them an opportunity that they might otherwise not have.
Hoping the critics of the fund will move on. John Woodward, CTV News.
A new report from the Salvation Army suggests most Canadians think U.S. tariffs are directly affecting their pocketbooks.
The report shows a sharp rise in job insecurity and declining optimism about the future. Of course, as we know, so many Canadians are feeling that squeeze. The rising costs of food, groceries, housing, all of those things are really having an impact on people's physical and mental well-being. And so many who have in the past perhaps donated to the Salvation Army or are finding that they need to turn to the Salvation Army for support at this time of the year.
The online survey from Angus Reid found 86% of respondents agree tariffs are driving up the cost of everyday goods. Meanwhile, 79% think U.S. trade policies are having the biggest impact on low-income households. The Salvation Army's annual Canadian Poverty and Socioeconomic Analysis also found the percentage of Canadians who feel optimistic about their finances dropped to 46% this year from 51% last year.
The impact of U.S. tariffs is an underlying theme in Ottawa's budget today, and they've also been a major focus of Canada's premiers.
Questions continue to swirl about Ontario's anti-tariff ad, which scuttled trade talks with the U.S. Now, BC is backtracking on its own ad campaign. CTV's Scott Hurst has more.
All of Canada's premiers have stood up and pushed back against the economic threats that are coming from the White House, notably saying, of course, that tariffs are not just bad for Canadians, but also bad for Americans and the American economy. Some premiers more forceful than others, some much more public than others. And specifically, we can talk about Ontario Premier Doug Ford spending millions of dollars to run ads in America. Now, as we know, getting under the skin of U.S. President Donald Trump, and in response, canceling trade talks between Washington and Ottawa. And while the ads have now been pulled, Ford is still defiant, doubling down on the successful impact of the ads, as he says, reaching so many Americans. Meanwhile, the Premier of British Columbia says his province has halted plans for a series of anti-tariff ads aimed at American audiences. Premier David Eby arguing the shift in strategy is to align the fight against tariffs with Ottawa, with the feds, BC in particular, greatly impacted by softwood lumber tariffs. Here's more from both the Premier of Ontario and the Premier of British Columbia.
I'd never apologize to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's trying to destroy our province, destroy our country, steal manufacturing jobs and auto sector jobs.
So we've committed to the federal government that when the time comes to be speaking directly to Americans, we'll do it in partnership with them. We will not be running the ads by ourselves. We'll make sure that we're in line with strategy going forward.
Tariffs will also be front and center tomorrow at the U.S. Supreme Court, as it will specifically hear arguments on the fate of Donald Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs, which were announced with great fanfare earlier in the spring. Those are baseline duties on a whole host of countries, and the fentanyl-specific tariffs imposed on Canada, as Trump has invoked national emergency powers specifically to combat the flow of fentanyl he claims is flooding across our borders into the U.S. As the Trump administration argues the tariffs are necessary, but bottom line for the Canadian economy and the industry is forced to pay, regardless of the decision coming from the Supreme Court, it won't impact all tariffs imposed on this country. The targeted tariffs hammering Canada's steel sector, aluminum, autos, copper, and lumber, those will remain in place. Those are Trump's industry-specific tariffs, as the Trump administration is describing the hearing at the U.S. Supreme Court as a matter of national security. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
He served father and son, U.S. presidents, and was one of the most powerful second-in-commands in American history. Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84.
His unflinching leadership shaped many of the biggest moments in domestic and U.S. foreign policy for decades. Dick is going to be remembered as a towering figure who helped guide the course of history, certainly in Wyoming and also in the United States and, of course, around the world.
Cheney was vice president to George H.W. Bush before serving the same role in the administration of Bush's son. Today, George W. Bush said history will remember Cheney as among the finest public servants of his generation, a patriot who brought integrity, high intelligence, and seriousness of purpose to every position he held. Cheney also served as Secretary of Defense, a congressman, and White House Chief of Staff earlier in his career.
The European Space Agency sent a radar imaging satellite into orbit. An Ariane 6 rocket lifted off from a spaceport today. On board was more than 2,000-kilogram satellites that will be used to observe agriculture and ground movements. It's the third Ariane 6 launch of 2025. One more scheduled for later this year.
Prince William continued his visit to Brazil today ahead of this week's COP30 climate summit. He traveled to an island 70 kilometers from Rio de Janeiro. The prince's first visit to Brazil is focused on his annual Earthshot Prize, which awards more than $1 million to 5 projects tackling threats to the environment. The award ceremony is tomorrow. He will also address global leaders at the UN climate talks in the Amazon on behalf of his father, the king. Climate change and nature are issues the prince has long championed.
Coming up, 'tis the season. In a few weeks, Santa Claus is coming to town. We got a sneak peek inside his secret workshop and spoke to the man himself about the upcoming parade.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, it's that time of year when many drivers are switching over their all-season tires to winter tires. If you need to buy a new set, you could have to pay more due to tariffs, inflation, and other economic pressures. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
So we will be mild through the overnight hours tonight and dayside tomorrow, but it is going to be a blustery day. And then the cool down happens this weekend. In fact, early next week, our temperature is going to be hovering near freezing. So that's one of the opportunities Monday for maybe some wet flurries. We'll talk about it in your 7-day forecast coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
If you need to purchase new tires, expect to pay more as some are imported from Asia and Europe and may be subject to tariffs.
Even as prices rise, a new survey finds more drivers are switching to winter tires and feel the added cost is worth it for safety. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. It's expected many tire brands could cost another 5% more due to inflation and other economic pressures. But more Canadians are using them than ever before, saying they've saved them from getting in an accident or losing control. It's the calm before the storm at DeGroote's Tirecraft in Scarborough. While many drivers don't switch over their tires until the first snowfall, some are planning ahead so they're ready for winter and colder temperatures.
That weather's just around the corner. All the shops are busy now, so the sooner the better.
Mike DeGroote has been in the tire business for over 40 years. He says softer rubber compounds, better traction, and shorter braking distances on ice and snow make winter tires the safer choice.
I think that it's a challenge to drive in the winter weather now, and people are becoming more aware of that. They're more educated, so they know the value of a good winter tire.
Depending on the set of tires you buy, you could pay about 5% more, mostly related to tariffs, inflation, and other factors. Despite the rising price of winter tires, a new survey by the Tire and Rubber Association of Canada finds many drivers believe it's worth the extra cost. The survey finds 80% of Canadian drivers now use winter tires. That number drops slightly to 77% in Ontario. Even though 84% say winter tires have saved them from an accident or loss of control, 32% say they're less likely to buy winter tires because of increased financial burdens.
Canadians everywhere are feeling some financial pressures and pinches due to the higher cost of living.
Despite the added costs, the association says drivers can get a break on their car insurance premiums, as well as take advantage of rebates and tire sales.
Having a dedicated winter tire means a sure-footed, confident drive.
Another tire growing in popularity is the all-weather tire. It's a hybrid which combines the attributes of an all-season and winter tire into one tire. You can leave them on your car all year long.
Our testing, they absolutely work. They are not as superior as a winter tire in no conditions, but they are definitely better than all seasons.
If you need to buy or switch your tires, it's recommended you don't wait till the snow flies, or you can expect long lineups at tire shops. And winter tires are now mandatory in Quebec and some parts of British Columbia. Transport Canada does recommend using them. Preventing even a single fender bender could save you money. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
It's been an annual holiday tradition for more than 120 years.
And in just a few weeks, thousands will pack the streets of downtown to watch the Santa Claus parade. Our Janice Golding gives us a preview of what to expect.
Tis the season to be jolly. Christmas carols from the students of De La Salle College at Santa's Secret Workshop this morning.
The holiday season is for everyone.
Elves and Santa's helpers on hand to give us a sneak peek as to what we can expect in the 121st edition of the original Santa Claus Parade.
I think what's incredible is that, a large city feels a bit like a small town for a day, and it brings, friends, family together.
750,000 spectators are expected to line city streets to take in the free parade, which will feature 18 marching bands, 27 floats, and thousands of volunteers who will march a 6.5-kilometer route.
I like going on there because I get to wear fun costumes.
I think it's a really magical tradition. It's simple. And there's people that come like generation after generation.
While the parade is all set for November 23rd, in recent years there were doubts about the parade's continued viability. Last year, organizers announced that 2024 could be the final year for the parade, given it was facing a $250,000 budget shortfall. But sponsors and all three levels of government came through, as well as the public, which raised $143,000 in a GoFundMe campaign. This is the first time government stepped forward to help out, say organizers, and they're now providing about 20% of the parade's $2 million budget.
We're looking great. We're not out of the woods, but we're looking great. As compared to this time last year, we've really been able to turn the ship around.
With the parade in good shape this year, workers have been hard at it, piecing together colorful costumes and some very creative floats.
I love to make people's childhood creations come to life.
We have over 3,000 costumes in the warehouse here. We work year-round. We are here all year. The day after the parade, we're right back, and we're cleaning up for the next year.
And, of course, Santa himself is raring to go.
That the gift of Christmas, or any season, is kindness. That's what we're looking for from all people. It's not what you get, it's what you can give, and it will come back to you.
The parade, which is always held on the third Sunday of November, kicks off at 12:30 at Christie Pitts on Sunday, November 23rd. Janice Golding, CTV News.
All right, when you see Santa Claus, you know what that means. Eventually, we're going to get snow.
Oh, definitely. And actually, we're talking about that this week. There's a little bit of it in the forecast. We're talking winter tires. Boy, it's November.
All of a sudden, we turn the page, and it's like a whole new season as we welcome November. I want to clarify that we're not forecasting measurable snow. However, it's not unheard of for us to see flakes, the first flakes of the year, in the first week of November. So we're pretty well right on schedule. And I think by the end of this 7-day forecast, some people will have experienced, at the very least, some wet snowflakes. Here's what it looked like a little earlier today. Never mind wet snow. people were out on the golf course, and why not? It was a beautiful day. We had sunshine. We climbed into the teens, temperature-wise, nice and comfortable. The leaves, of course, are changing and now starting to fall in many parts of the GTA. But look at those greens. They still look beautiful, and I'm happy to see some courses extending their season into this month. Let's talk about what's happening on the satellite and radar. Our next low-pressure system is still developing, and as it swings its way over southern Ontario, some areas are going to get a little more rain tomorrow. Other areas might even get a little bit of wet snow, but this is still well north and east of here. It's not a lot of rain for us. In fact, it should just be a couple of millimeters, if anything. But couple this with the blustery winds that we're expecting once again, this time out of the northwest, and it's going to be a little bit of an inconvenient weather situation for tomorrow. Another round of wet weather for your Wednesday evening. Thursday brings a return to some sun, but a few lake effect bands of rain could still impact portions of the GTA. And then Friday, we're going to cloud back over, and we have the opportunity to see perhaps some rain showers, perhaps some wet flurries, a couple of different times over the weekend. So we'll talk about that in a moment. 10 degrees right now in Toronto. It is 12 in the Windsor area. It was 14 just a couple of minutes ago, so still quite mild, especially in southwestern Ontario. 7 is our forecast overnight low tonight. That's actually much closer to where we expect our daytime high to be this time of year. And tomorrow, it is another mild one, at least for part of the day. 13 degrees is our forecast high. 9 is the norm. But again, the winds are going to be quite strong, and our temperature tomorrow night will fall a little closer to freezing, perhaps +3 or 4. Daytime highs, as mentioned, in the teens around the Golden Horseshoe, barely into the double digits in other areas, and then single-digit lows, especially for areas north and east of Toronto. Let me take you through the 7-day forecast. There's a couple of things worth mentioning here. Again, a return to sunshine for Thursday, but a little bit cooler at 9 degrees. Some wet weather for Friday, cloud cover throughout the weekend. Look at the highs for both Saturday and Sunday, around 6 degrees. Some of these overnight lows are actually below freezing, so if we get a few flurries, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Monday daytime, there's the opportunity for that as well. And then there's an early look at Remembrance Day, mix of sun and cloud, and a high near 3. That's the weather for now. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, speaking of Remembrance Day, also tonight, away from the rink, taking a time out for Remembrance. The Leafs pay a visit to Sunnybrook Veterans Centre to honor Canada's war heroes.
A report focusing on the experience of black women in the healthcare system paints a disturbing picture of the impact of racial discrimination.
CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has more.
Transforming and shifting.
The report is called Voices Unheard, and it's the first Canadian survey ever of black women and girls focusing on health.
I have lived with these dark and dangerous thoughts for approximately 3 years.
The researchers collected the experiences of almost 2,000 women and girls in Canada, and there were clear themes. 2/3 felt their health concerns were frequently dismissed, and 42.4% had delayed or avoided health care due to fears of how they would be treated as a black woman. Nadia Thompson has been dealing with complex chronic conditions for 4 years.
They did not necessarily consider that what I was feeling was really affecting my quality of life. So there might have been some comments about me needing to just lose weight or change some of my other habits.
U of Calgary professor Bukola Salami says concrete evidence of the consequences is there.
In the US and UK, that black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. In Canada, we keep it sealed. We don't collect the data.
She's calling for the collection of race-based data in Canada.
We need more resources in this area to really actually unravel, because if we don't collect the data, if we don't analyze the data, publish the results, we're never going to be able to find a solution.
Thompson says one solution for her was finding a doctor who happened to be black and who listened to her experiences.
I think a lot of it comes with that bias that maybe we are strong or strong enough to manage what we're dealing with on our own without getting that support. And that can come from many different places where those assumptions come from, but I think sometimes that prevents them from taking us seriously.
And she says the impact is not just on the individual patient, but on their family their workplace, and ultimately Canadian society as a whole if a person is not able to live a full and successful life. You can find the complete Voices Unheard report through the Black Women's Institute for Health. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Some heroes of the ice met some heroes of the past today as members of the Toronto Maple Leafs made a visit to veterans at Sunnybrook ahead of Remembrance Day.
CTV's Raheem Ladani was there and has this report.
Hip, hip, hooray!
Cheering on their favorite hockey team, spirits are high inside Sunnybrook Veterans Centre as more than 50 Canadian war veterans, including Ben Williston, have the opportunity to share stories with some of their favorite Toronto Maple Leafs.
I joined up for the Korean conflict in 1950. I had to forge my mother's name to say I was 17.
Ahead of Remembrance Day next week, current Maple Leafs Bobby McMahon, Steve Lawton, and Stephen Lorentz, alongside alumni Wendell Clark, are spending the afternoon honoring Canada's heroes and telling sacred tales.
The Leaf jersey from the Harold Ballard days were the only team that the sweaters got dry cleaned after every game.
The bond between the Maple Leafs and Canada's military dates back over a century to founder Conn Smythe, who served in both World Wars and named his team after the symbol Canadian soldiers wore with pride.
Never gets old. They're the true team. The veterans, they're what we strive to be as teams that play hockey. And anytime you can get out and have just a good day, fun day, and relaxing day for the guys.
And while many of these veterans grew up cheering for the blue and white long before today's roster was even born, they're able to connect generations through hockey.
This is a joyful day, really good. They've been doing it for a long time, and I hope to keep on doing it in the future.
For Kitchener, Ontario's Stephen Lorentz, spending quality time with veterans has become a tradition. He was also here last year and even received a special invitation.
I had heard about the Johnny Bauer pub, and it was just very cool to, to meet some of the veterans here that have, been here for a long time, supported us for a long time. And when I got word that, we could go down and have a beer too, that, that was a no-brainer for me. So we just sat down and I got to listen to some of their stories, and it was very cool, very humbling experience.
And for many of these veterans, heading down to the Johnny Bauer Arms pub is exactly what they're looking forward to again.
Last time they were here, we made a breakthrough and we took them down to the pub. We never had enough time to do that. We're going down to the pub in a few minutes here.
And as the Maple Leafs and veterans head to the pub, it's a reminder that remembrance will live on well beyond November 11th. Raheem Ladani, CTV News.
After the break, setting the tempo for the inaugural season, Toronto's new WNBA team hires a two-time champion as its first ever head coach.
It was a down day for North American markets as companies reported earnings, some that failed to meet investors' high expectations. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has business.
Shopify reported big gains in revenue and profit for its third quarter. Revenue came in at $2.8 billion U.S., which is a 32% increase from the same period last year. Gross profit was up 24%. Still, shares were down close to 7% by the end of the trading day. Shopify, of course, is a massive e-commerce company run out of Ottawa. Pet Value also reported earnings, sending shares down more than 16%. Revenue for its latest quarter was about $290 million, but short of what analysts had expected. The company also scaled back its revenue goal for the year. Business is booming for rideshare company Uber. It brought in revenue of close to $8 billion U.S. in its latest quarter. That's on top of the $4.5 billion in revenue from deliveries. The company CEO says it is the strongest growth they've seen since the end of 2023. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to $70.94. West Texas Intermediate crude is down 49 cents to $60.56. Western Canadian Select is up to $49.51. And the TSX sank almost 500 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Next year, WNBA history will be made with the first franchise outside the United States.
Leading the charge for the Toronto Tempo will be the team's first ever head coach, who was officially introduced today. And as CTV's Sean Leathong reports, she knows a lot about winning championships.
Before ever taking the court, the Toronto Tempo have their first win.
The first head coach in Toronto Tempo history, Sandy Brondello.
Introduced by General Manager Monica Rogers, Sandy Brondello brings a winning pedigree to Canada's first WNBA franchise.
For me, starting any kind of position, culture is so important for me. And really, it's the number one things. Before X's and O's, you got to sell the vision of, what kind of legacy do we want to leave behind?
And that culture starts with an honest but confident self-assessment.
How would you describe yourself as a coach? Well, what kind of coach are you?
A pretty good one, I think.
The two-time WNBA championship coach is also the coach of the Australian national team. She's won Olympic medals, and her most recent WNBA title came in 2024 with the New York Liberty. She's also a former WNBA player, which combines for 27 years of experience in a nearly 30-year-old league. The one-time Coach of the Year was highly sought after by current teams.
I had a few options there, but in the end, I was really intrigued about starting from the very beginning and building something with really good people.
Toronto and Portland are set to become the 14th and 15th WNBA franchises in 2026, and this hiring is seen as a message
that they're serious. This franchise is serious about winning from the get-go, going out and bringing in one of the most accomplished and experienced coaches.
This past season, the Golden State Valkyries joined the league, making the playoffs in their first year. Brondello didn't make any predictions for year one, but says being an expansion team doesn't change her long-term goal.
The goal is to bring a championship to Toronto. That hasn't changed. My narrative hasn't changed. I like winning. It's fun, but I also know it's hard.
So with the first piece of the puzzle being a statement piece for the Toronto Tempo, fans may be hoping for a competitive season when they begin in 2026. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Toronto's NBA team will go for its third straight win tonight.
Great addition.
Kidding me! Rising up on the offensive rebound.
The Raptors will look to keep their winning ways going after Sunday's 117-104 victory over Memphis. Toronto will host the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. The 3-4 Raptors are trying to get back to the 500 mark after a slow start to the season.
This year's Grey Cup game is officially a sellout. The CFL's championship game will be played November 16th at Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg. Most of the festival events leading up to the game, including the CFL Awards, are also at capacity. The participants in the 112th Grey Cup will be decided Saturday. That is when Hamilton hosts Montreal in the East Division Final, and Saskatchewan welcomes BC for the West Final.
You can call him Sir David. David Beckham was knighted by the King during a ceremony at Windsor Castle today. The former soccer star was recognized for his contribution to sport and charitable causes. Beckham served as England's team captain many times and retired in 2013 with 115 caps. He also partnered with UNICEF for 2 decades and campaigned with a charity working to eradicate malaria. After today's ceremony, Beckham said he cried when he first found out he was being awarded the knighthood.
Being an East London boy, growing up in Leytonstone, moving to Manchester and now stood here at Windsor Castle with His Majesty the King giving me a knighthood is something that I could never have imagined happening to me.
Beckham says this is without a doubt his proudest moment. He's long expressed admiration for the royal family, describing himself as a huge royalist.
Just ahead, melding marble, pop culture, and street art. We take a journey through a new free exhibit crafted by Canadian artist Sticky Peaches.
It's a combination of street art and more refined pieces.
CTV's Jessica Smith introduces us to a new mixed material exhibit called Forget About It, now on display in Yorkville.
Taking the concept of street art indoors.
Once we had seen what this was turning into,
I think it really dawned on us all that, wow, this is something that is truly special.
Forget About It is a new mixed material exhibit at the Tagliatelle Galleries in Toronto by Montreal-based artist Sticky Peaches, paying tribute to his Italian heritage, his parents' work as a tailor and seamstress, his love of Star Wars, and art.
But what's beautiful about this particular sculpture is how he's able to sort of capture his background, where he comes from.
They were coming to get suits measured for them, and I was playing with these Star Wars toys. So I just merged the two to kind of tell the story of, what I was living through as a young boy.
The project was 3 years in the making and combines a variety of materials, including Carrara marble from Italy.
And he mentioned that he wanted to work with marble. So that was kind of the manifestation into the universe, into the type of project that we're presenting today.
Each piece designed to resonate with people for a different reason.
It has the three components that were really cool to me, my husband being Italian, my husband being a Star Wars fanatic, and the Carrara marble. You can't help but not be drawn to that piece of art.
Giving you something different to see each time you look.
The Forget About It exhibit is a mix of street art and the more refined pieces, and will be here for free to view at the Tagliatelle Gallery through to the end of November. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
The evening skyline looking pretty good as well. We have beautiful sunshine today. What's happening tomorrow?
Yeah, so a bit of a change for tomorrow. Once again, we're going to see an increase in cloud. We have the chance of wet weather moving in, perhaps late morning, and then impacting us into the afternoon. It's also going to be a bit of a blustery day. So here's a look at what you can expect. As far as the school day forecast is concerned, chance of showers for the walk to school, risk of thunderstorms by the time kids are heading home. Daytime high is going to be around 13 degrees, which is mild for this time of year, but there's lots to show you in the 7-day forecast. So here's one more look. Chilly as we make our way into the weekend. A noticeable difference. Might need to get out the warmer jacket. Those overnight lows slipping below freezing as well. Nathan and Michelle.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's it for us, but you can join Omar Sachedin at tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Almond with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.